I have a denture story for you. And that story is Bill told me as I get older, and when I get to a point that I have dentures, that I would be able to successfully get free drinks. Now, I'm not a huge drinker, but he told me what to do and to plan for this in my seniors' years, so that if I do have dentures and I'm out with my buddies, my female and male friends, and they're drinking beer or something else, but for Bill it was beer, that you draw their attention to something that they look past their drink so they can't see it. And you drop in your dentures. Therefore, when they turn around and they see a set of teeth that's not theirs in their drink, that you would quickly say, oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that to happen, let's not waste that drink, and pick it up and drink it. So with that, I know that Mr. Estabrooks will provide me with more advice as I go along, whether it continues to be in the political world or another avenue that my life will take. I always will know that I can contact him and ask him for advice and know that I am getting good advice. And I'm very proud, and I think this is just a wonderful day for the community to be able to have a fabulous community center, and every one of you have worked so hard, because I remember when we had the conversation and we were so scared about losing this facility, that now everybody as a community has come together, and having it named the Estabrooks Center there's nothing else that could be better for your community and for your generations to come who will walk through that door and always remember Bill Estabrooks, and hopefully they will follow in his footsteps in helping others, and that's what it's all about in our lives. Thank you very much.
Even today, not a Christmas goes by that we don't receive a Christmas card from Mr. Estabrooks with a Boston symbol on the inside, of course. Even when our babies were born, he sent us a card with a beautiful message, but a Bobby Orr card tucked inside.
Bobby Orr rookie card.
Mr. Estabrooks, thank you for your love of country music that you tortured us with at volleyball practice. We listened to nothing but today. Thank you for always looking out for us, even when you had to take your teeth out, bend to our height, to make sure we heard you loud and clear. Thanks for the memories at Brackley Beach and making us feel like your own. Thanks for everything that you've done for our communities. You certainly set the bar high. Thank you for always being there as a teacher, a coach, and a true friend. This community is certainly lucky to have their center dedicated to you. But more communities than you know consider themselves truly blessed because you made it that way with your leadership, kindness, and dedication. We love you.
Bill and I have slept together in more motel rooms in Nova Scotia. Here's a typical morning when we would go away in a caucus retreat. Here was a typical morning. I would get up and cough and spit and maybe throw up for about a half hour. Right, Bill? And Bill, every once in a while, Bill would say, "Are you all right?" And then there'd be a lull in the coughing, and then he'd wait, and I'd say, "I'm all right." And so that'd be all right. Then I would clean myself up, and then I would draw a bath for Bill. And Bill would soak. So, you know, this is true. You can't make this stuff up. But, so, Bill and when we would travel, like what we call caucus retreats, when caucuses would go away, you're always allowed to have your own room. But him and I, two things would happen. And Gordy and Dave are here, and they would notice. First of all, Bill and I would always bunk together, and it would always be the drinking room, right? If not, and after a while, as caucus grew a bit larger, and we would go to places that they would have, maybe we'd stay in a smaller cottage, and ours would be the place that we had the bonfire in, right, Billy? And we'd have black rum and warm Olins. So you weren't a man going in, you're a man coming out. But, you know, there's many things we could tell about your adventures of losing kids in PEI. You talk about things haunting you. I'm a Habs fan. My nephew, or actually grandnephew, plays here for the Mooseheads. He's away. Kevin Fitzgerald. Kevin is away at San Jose Sharks camp, and a guy named Darren Orr is his agent. And you may know Darren's father. That's Robert Gordon Orr. And they were quite thrilled to have supper with Bobby this past summer. And my nephew and my niece, who was his mother, told a story about how gracious Bobby really is, and how there was people just coming up, person after person. This was down in Boston. And he had time for everybody. So, you know, your loyalty isn't misplaced, Bill. But, you know, we had many good times together in caucus, whether it was poor Jean Debout and he got up to ask a question. Bill and I took his question, threw it under the desk on him. And we did similar things to Gordy. There was a rite of passage between Bill and I with a lot of the rookie MLAs, but it was always in fun, and we always had a very good time. But the times when the people kind of left the room and Bill and I would just sit there and talk, it always got back to family. His daughters, my son and daughter, and our grandchildren. And that was my time in politics, was the best times. When Bill and I would sit there and we'd drink our beer or our rum and talk about the loves of our lives, which was our family. So I guess I want to close by saying we all know, and there's many elected and former elected people in this room, that we've all heard the saying, oh, you people that are elected, you politicians, are all the same. Well, that's bull. Bill Estabrooks is a unique individual. Nobody is the same as Bill Estabrooks. He's special, and he should be acknowledged as special. Thank you.
Sit down, Danny Smith. You're taking time. Thank you is an easy word to say, but I'm going to have the chance to talk to you out individually because more once, I'm not going to have much to say. You're not going to believe me? Here we go. I want to tell you a Frank Corbett story. Those baths you ran were too cold. And her lovely little granddaughter, the day I read the sweater to her, that Montreal Canadiens horror Christmas story, I don't know if you know it or not, but I'm not going to read it to her ever again. But I'm going to tell you this Frank Corbett story. Dr. John Hamm, the country gentleman, had an afternoon appointment with a student journalist named Estabrooks. And as John's way was, he found out what this journalist would be like. So after question period, he said to he said to Frankie, what's Tricia Estabrooks like? And Frank, of course, responded, Mr. Premier, why? Well, I've got an appointment with her this afternoon. Frank looked at him and said, John, she has Carolyn's looks and Carolyn's brains and Bill's shitty attitude. So with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Tricia Estabrooks, a girl with attitude.
Well, here's to some shitty attitude. And for Dad giving it to me. I guess I want to begin by talking about something that few of you may not know about my dad, Bill Estabrooks. This trait that he has. And it may surprise you, given all of his years in the public spotlight and the countless number of times that he's been on the front pages of newspapers, but he is actually quite humble. Truly, no, he is. He's quite humble, and I choose that word humble because of his reaction to all of you being here, to all of this. You know, it was a few months ago that he said to me, "You're not going to believe it, Trish, but they're naming that old hall, they're naming it the Bill Estabrooks Hall." I couldn't believe it. I said, "Well, that's it, I'm going. No, you're not. No." He said, "If you come all the way from Alberta, it will be a big deal," he said to me. And I said, "Tough shit, Dad. It already is a big deal." So I flew in yesterday, and I saw that Dad's hair had gone from this down to this, and I said, "Is it a big deal now, Dad? You got a haircut." And so I think he is acknowledging that, yes, this is a big deal, and it should be a big deal. Dad, you deserve this. I am proud of you. For years, you have inspired people in this community. You've inspired my sister and I to be the best that we can be. The thing is, though, to Dad, spending hours at the rink, spending weekends with the Lions Club, serving as your MLA, that's just what you do as a member of community. That is not a big deal to Dad. It is something that has come naturally to him his whole life. And so I, on behalf of my family and my dad, my sister, who couldn't be here, other family members who are here today, I want to say thank you. This means so much, as much as it does to the many speakers that we heard from today. It means a lot. And in closing, you know, it strikes me when I come home and how I've watched Dad give so much to this community. It strikes me that for years, you know, he coached John A., he sold trees for the Lion Club, he encouraged people, not just kids, but adults as well, to be the best they can be. And as his MLA, as this community, he helped this community. And now when I come home, what I'm struck by is these small gestures that I see. Random stuff left in our mailbox. Home-cooked dinners brought to his door. Kim from Maya's Fish and Chips, calling him up, "You have dinner yet, Bill?" And she brings him fish and chips. Clearing of his driveway. So it's come full circle. This is a community that is now helping him. And for that, my family wants to say thank you.